Nautical Noodles with Connie Warasila. Connie Warasila is ACE and AEA certified and has over a decade of teaching experience in the U.S. and Germany. Connie's degree in music performance enhances her keen sense of phrasing, choreography synchronization, and articulate teaching skills. A Mania and IAFC convention presenter, Connie is well known for both her professionalism and her warmth.
Welcome to the Nautical Noodle workout. I'm Connie Warasila, and we'll start with a cardiovascular warm-up using our noodle with us in the water. Let's start with a jog. Good. Using a rebound, make sure your students totally understand to keep their heels pressing down to the bottom of the pool, just like regular water aerobics. Good. We're going to start with the noodle in a horseshoe shape, holding it about halfway down the sides. We're going to bring it around the front of our body and add a push down. Ready? Press and lift. Great. You want to keep the noodle relatively close to your sides and your elbows lifting up and back. This helps to open up the chest and retract the shoulder blades and back. Good. Let's do 4 more. And we're just going to change the lower body. We're going to keep this upper body pattern. Kick it out. Wonderful. And now really concentrate on the upper body, using some muscular strength. Good. I just want to bounce and get in there with you. 4 more. Elbows back. 3. Same arms. Let's take it to a jack. Out and in. Out and in. Good. 4 more. 3 more. 2 more. Back to our jog. Here we go. Press and lift. For the cardio work, I usually keep the noodle work relatively simple. 7. Kick it out. Good. And I also keep the tempo of the noodle usage relatively slow. 4 more. 3 more. 2. Jack it out and in. Good. Elbows point straight back. Yes. Are you starting to feel your heart rate come up? Very simple movement, but just adding this a little bit adds nice intensity. 7 and 8, jog it out. Now we're going to change the position of the noodle out in front of us to a straight position. Good. And 3, we're going to start our pendulum. Ready? Right leg out. Pendulum side to side. Beautiful. Now we're going to press the noodle at a diagonal in front of us, away from the leg. Here we go. Whoops, wrong way. There we go. So it's in opposition to the leg. Press, press. Still that up and down motion out in front. Great. We could do 2-person formations in the pool. 6, 7, no arms in front. Always allow them to take breaks and not do the noodle work if they want to. Very nice. Make sure the knee and toe stay facing forward. 6, 7, add the arm. Push, down and up, not just side to side. That's it, 4 more. Are you starting to feel warmed up? No? Jog it out. Good. Nice. Now right away, we're going to continue our cardiovascular work as though we're in deep water or suspended. Keep jogging. You can use the noodle in deep water, or you can use it in shallow water as a flotation device. And it really starts to test your core integrity. So make sure throughout this next section that you keep nice posture, abs tight, back extended, chest open, all those things all at one time while we're working on the noodle. So I want you to mount the noodle like a horse. right between your legs. Make sure it's only as high as your chin, no higher. Now, we're gonna start just like we're in deep water, so go ahead and suspend. Good. We're gonna start with a cross-country ski. 1 foot front, 1 foot back. Yes. Now, excuse me while I get my chair. Wonderful. And you can always use the chair for class. So we got that cross-country going, side to side. And you always want to remind them with any suspended move to try and get good leg extension, front and back. Beautiful. Yes. Let's do one more set. Now remember, abs are tight, chest is tall. Great. 4 more. 3, 2. Now just a little run. Run. Arms by your sides. So you kind of limit now how much your arms can balance. Once they come in, they have to be right here. Where's your balance coming from? Abdominal and core strength. So have your run straight up and down, knees pumping right underneath you. Let's do 4 more, and then we're gonna change this to a wide run. Ready? Turn the knees out. Wide run. Perfect. Yes. Now in deep water, if you have the depth, go ahead and have the students work with a full leg extension. 2 more sets, a little harder now. Pump, pump. Good, arms are in the same direction as the legs. 4, 3, good. Now bring the knees back narrow. And I use that as a transition before I go into the diagonal run. Now just turn the knees in and push it out to the side. So now the concentration has changed from adductors to abductors. Push and pull with that outer hip and gluteal. Can you feel that difference? Just by changing the angle of the knee. Good. Let's do 4 more. Diagonal runs. Good. 3, 2, 1. Now, back to the middle jog. Pump those legs. And always encourage your students when you're doing deep work to work at their own tempo. Sometimes the music might not be right for them. So do your jog at a tempo that you find challenging, not necessarily what the music's dictating. Now, the next move, we're gonna change our tempo just a bit. We're gonna slow down and reach the opposite toe. Ready? Reach, reach, reach. Good. Balancing with that opposing arm. This is a good time to cue them with good posture. Chest up. Your students may have a tendency on this movement to hunch forward. And if you teach that way, looking down to them, know that that's what they'll do in the water too. So if you're looking down at them, they're gonna look down at you. So try to keep the posture nice and tall on the cross touches. Whew. Good. Back to our center jog. Anytime you're doing suspended work, it's nice to come back to the transition move. So come back to the center jog so they understand there's a change coming. Snow angels or jack and in, jack and in. Now you'll notice everything we've done so far in the suspended work is in the straddle position or horse position. Out and in. 4, 3. You'll want to cue your students on the snow angel to try to get their leg right to the side, not to the back, not to the front, straight to the side. Good. Now some of your students who are leaner and a bit more dense may have a tendency to bob low on this one. So you may want to cue them to work a little faster to stay a little more buoyant. Good. Let's just do 4 more at your challenging tempo. 7 and 8. Let's take a break and change to the swing position. So dismount off your horse. Take the noodle back under your gluteal. Right there, just like if you're at the playground and you're gonna swing. That's it. Now, when you first put your students in this position, have their hands free so that they can balance. As they get more experienced in this position, they can hold on to the ends of the noodle and even incorporate arms. Let's start with a V-sit. Out and in, out and together, out and together. Now, this is where they can work on balance and core stability. Can you feel that already? This puts you in a little bit more vulnerable position. We're very good at anterior and posterior balance, but as a general rule, lateral balance is a little more difficult, and that's what this position does. So once you get used to this, then you can add the arms once they feel balanced. Not before. Try not to push them into doing this until they're really ready with balance. So you can stay out. You can do it with no arms because the noodle will stay there. It'll stay pretty much where you've positioned it under your gluteals. Good. Now concentrate on inner and outer thigh. We're going to change this movement a little bit. Still out and in like a V-sit, except it's called a shrimp. We tuck up, sweep the legs out and in. I'll demonstrate it one time. It goes up, sweep, up, sweep, up, sweep. Now that sweep needs to be really strong. Whew. You know, whip them in, almost like a breaststroke on your back. Just like a breaststroke. Now you will have a tendency to travel backwards in this move. So if you're limited in your space at your pool, you may want to have them do 8 in one direction and then change to something moving forward. Let's just do 2 more. 7 and bicycle. Just like on a recumbent bicycle. So your legs are more out in front of you. Now I want you to grab some water and pull it back to your buttocks. Pull it in. Dig in your heel. Grab some water with your heel. Pull, pull. Now, do you find you're moving a little bit forward? You want them to travel a little bit forward. So they're really starting to use their hamstring as their motor. Pulling those legs forward. Let's combine those 2 movements one more time. Shrimp back. Tuck, sweep. Tuck, sweep. Tuck, sweep. Let's just do 4 more. We have some space. Come on, get back there. Good. Now you have to come forward, bike it, and use that hamstring. Pull, 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 pull. We're going to do the opposite move to this next. So we'll balance the hamstring usage with the quad usage. Knees together and just kick straight out in front. You can also perform this move in the straddle position, hugging the noodle with your knees. And that causes stability with the adductor muscles. So either this position, the swing position, or the straddle position. You want to try it each way? Hug it with your knees, nice and tight, and then kick forward. Can you feel your inner thigh have to work? Now some of my students are uncomfortable though, squeezing something between their knees. So I just let them do it in the swing position. That's one example of giving them position options. Good. Can you start feeling your quad? It doesn't take long for this one to work. One modification you can give are slow, forceful kicks or fast, intense kicks. So let's do 1 set of fast. Kick, 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 kick. Use the top part of your foot to really force the water forward. 4, 3, come on, 2, last set. Slow it down. Always give them a nice, comfortable move to come back to so that they're comfortable. All righty. You doing okay? All right, you ready to go on? Oh, y'all are so good. All right, let's finish with butterflies. Now, this is an advanced move, so you may want to eventually work up to this move. I wouldn't just throw this one in at the first time you use noodles. Bring the noodle around to the front and dismount off the swing. Good, right in front. Now I'm going to turn to the side so you can see what I'm doing. We're first going to start with just a shoot through to the front and back. Tuck and shoot back. And this is a time to encourage your students to use their own personal tempo, not to be a slave to the tempo of the music. Do this at a tempo that challenges your abdominals. So it's a simple shoot through, front and back. The one other thing to watch when you're doing a shoot through to the front and back is that when you shoot your legs to the back, avoid hyperextending the spine and avoid hyperextending the cervical spine. Keep the head forward And if your students are uncomfortable getting their face near the water, then you may want to eliminate this move. You just want to make sure that their cervical spine stays in alignment. Okay, how do you feel with the shoot through? You're getting that pretty good? Good. 2 more. Now we're going to change. We're going to shoot through to the back and then straddle flip over. Wide legs and flip over. Yes. Then shoot through to the back, straddle and flip over. Can you see how that's become a multi-muscle exercise? You have your abdominal usage for stability. You have inner outer thigh on the straddle flip. Good. Let's try it in the other direction also. So shoot through to the front. Did we just do that? Flip over to the back. Shoot through to the front. Flip over to the back. Yeah. Now, is one of those harder than the other for you personally? You'll find one's harder, one's easier, and your class will be the same way. So make sure that you ask them to balance it off and do the straddle flip in both directions. Once they've mastered that, you can do a full butterfly, which is the straddle flip back and the straddle flip front. So let's just try that a couple times. Ready? Yes, you look good. Here we go. Straddle, flip to the back. Straddle, flip to the front. Keep those abs tight, keep the back extended. Good. And front. Do you feel your whole body involved there? Stretch out the arms to the front. Good. Lay on your back. Good. 2 more. Straddle, flip back. Straddle, flip front. Woo! Good. We've warmed up those abs, so let's go and concentrate on ab work. Take the noodle around to your back. And we're going to start with a lounge position. That's what I call it with my students. They know exactly what I mean. You're just going to lounge back on your noodle like you're at a resort. Legs are up. And try to look at your toes. Now, try not to bend a lot at the hip flexor. You want to make sure it's the abdominals that are crunching, shortening the distance between your rib and your hip. Ready? Let's try to bring it up in a 2 count crunch. 1, 2, lay out. 1, 2, lay out. This is another one that your class won't do if they don't like to get their hair wet. So just know that if they don't like to get their hair wet, design your class with a different movement because their hair will get wet in the lounge position. Let's try a single count. Stay up in that crunch position. Think about this midsection doing the work. Pulling down and in, down and in. 6, 7, and 8. Let's hold it up for 3. 1, 2, 3, lay back. Up 1, 2, 3, lay back. Tight in the middle, lay back. Yeah, your students will have a tendency to float around on this one. That's okay, they can kind of meet each other, bump into each other. Let's do 2 more just like that. 3, 2, lift the toes on 3. 1 more. 1, 2, 3. Break. Take a break and take the noodle back to the front. Repositioning the noodle is a nice way to give a break. Let's now go to a jack touch and a tuck. Now, no bounding, no rebounding. It's almost like a suspended move. Now, once you get your class doing this movement, one cue you're going to add. Once they get up into the tuck position, go a little bit farther. Go the extra mile. Tuck the abdominals at the bottom and curl the pelvis up and under just a hair more. You can tell them to slow down from the tempo of the music as long as they're getting that little tuck of the pelvis. Can you see the slight difference that makes? Good. Tuck, in, touch, tuck, touch, tuck. And tell them you want to see it in their face. If you can see it in their face, you know the rest of them's working. Good. 6, pull. 7, pull. Good. Now we already practiced the shoot through to the front and back. Now we're going to practice the shoot through lateral side to side. This is more designed for the oblique muscles, external and internal. So when you're doing these, you want to make sure to lay right on your side. Try not to roll to the back or the stomach. Okay, ready? Tuck and shoot through. Tuck, lay on the side. Now I'm going to lay down on the deck because this is the best way to describe to your class what you're looking for. So I'm going to be down here for just a second. I'll come back. You want to make sure that they're laying right like they would on the floor. Hip over hip, shoulder over shoulder. Good, feet together. And when they tuck through, that's where they should really feel their obliques start to contract. Can you feel that when you swing the tuck through? Good. So this is called a lateral shoot through, side to side. Now I do use the noodle all the way extended to the side and back. Good. The last cue you'd want to give your class during this movement is not to hang out in that extended position. Come right back and switch sides. No break in this one. Former, you're like, oh my God, no breaks. Okay, good. Let's just do 2 more, and we'll use this at the end for some combination training. Last one, break. Reposition the noodle. This is their break. Back to the back to our lounge position. We're gonna continue to work the obliques, incorporating some rectus abdominis. We're gonna crunch up and reach over to the opposite knee. Yes, and then lay back out. Then crunch up and reach to the opposite knee and out. Now, this takes a lot of balance, and it may be faster for your students to do it a little faster. Touch and out, touch and out. So it's continuous movement, balanced and comfortable. Good. But can you see how much of your core has to be involved on this one? It's a full twist. Now, if you have any students that have back trouble and this is uncomfortable for them, just have them go back and do the regular crunch. There's no need to do it if it's uncomfortable for them. Let's do 4 more. Good. Last one. Now, while we're in this position, I want you to put the ends together, and we're gonna be children for just a moment. I want you to do inner tube spins like we did when we were children. You just roll over. Now try to keep your feet together. I used to do it with my feet crossed. Now try to go faster and faster. Faster and faster. Make some waves. Yes. Good. 4 more. 3. Are you getting a little dizzy? Make sure you go in both directions. So spin the other way a couple times. This is called a roll or an inner tube spin. And I use this in a combination, so I always practice it, sometimes at the end of class so they can just have some fun. All right, that's enough rolling. Let's put some things together now. Combination training. Let's start with the V-sit. Go back to the swing position. Good. And let's do our V-sit. Out and in, out and in, out and in. Good. You know what, I lied. We're not gonna use the swing position because we won't be able to flip. So let it float up under your arms. V-sit, out and in. Oh, that was a smooth transition. Good. Now, when I tell you we're gonna do 2 V-sits, then 1 shoot through to the back and 1 roll over onto your back. Are you ready? 7 and 8. Here we go, 2 more. Now shoot through to the back. Flip over, V-sit for 2. Yeah, shoot through to the back. Roll over, beautiful, V-sit. Now, this combination of moves works a lot of muscles at one time. Abdominals, back, shoot through, flip over, inner outer thigh. Again, this is one of those moves, though, that you need to encourage your students to work at their tempo. They don't need to be at the tempo of the music or at the tempo that you're demonstrating. They need to practice this one on their own, in their own time, so they can maintain balance and core strength. Good. How do you like that one? Like putting things together? It's fun. Let's finish off and go to another combination. Bring this around to the front. Good. We're gonna go back to those lateral shoot throughs. Ready? Tuck and extend, tuck and extend. Great. Tuck and push, tuck and push. Good. 1 more. Let's do 3. 1, 2. Now hold here and scissor kick your leg, front and back. You want the scissor kick to be nice and wide. So you're getting a full extension from the hip. Excellent, front and back. Yes. 2 more. Now back to our lateral shoot throughs. In and push, in and push. Hold, now kick. You should be on the other side because the 3 shoot-throughs changes your lead. One more. Shoot through. 3, 2, hold, and kick. I usually do about for 8 counts, so it kind of matches the music. Good. Shoot through. 3. My classes love this one. They ask me to do it. Hold and kick. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, go! Shoot through. Yes. One more. Scissor. Now give your class enough time to really master this one because it'll take some time. Shoot through. You may want to practice just the shoot throughs one week, then just the kicks for a while, and then add them together in a combination after they have mastered using the noodle as a tool. I wouldn't throw this at them all at one time. All right, let's finish with some jumping rope. I just want a nice tuck. Tuck, extend, tuck, extend. Now just push the noodle down toward the feet. Now once your students are comfortable there, they can do a full jump rope over the noodle and back. Again, that is not a move that I expect students to do the first time out. We practice pushing it down to the feet first. But it's fun. So they try it, they have a good time, they know their goal is to jump rope. And I like to bring things from the outside in to the pull so that they have something to relate to. And this is one of those things. Everybody remembers jumping rope as a kid. Good. Now, can you feel how hard you have to tuck and flex that spine to get the feet up and over the noodle? That's why it's such an effective abdominal exercise. Again, though, if you have any students with lower back problems and this is uncomfortable for them, just have them do the regular tuck. It's quite effective also. Let's just do 4 more. 4, 3, 2, 1. Take a break. Woo! Now we have worked that midsection. Let's give it a little bit of a break and go to lower body. We're gonna start with hamstring curls with the noodle in front, and you want to submerge it at an angle. Good. Now I want you to start your hamstring curl behind you. The knees should point down to the bottom of the pool. Feet nice and wide. Beautiful. Now really start relying on the noodle and hold it out there in front, like you're leaning on it, way out there. Yeah. That way you can really use not only the resistance of the water, but as soon as you put them in that incline position, they're in a really good position to maximize the contraction in their hamstring and gluteal. So really try to get them to rely on the noodle and then do that hamstring curl back. Encourage them to keep their abdominals tight, pelvis slightly tilted, and protect that low back. You want to make sure they're never hyperextending. Make sure it's nice and strong throughout the core of their body. Can you start feeling that in your hamstrings? Is it a little different than doing it without the noodle? Because you can really lean forward. And then if they're really strong, which they are, we're gonna pick up the tempo if you can for just 8, 7, 6, lean, lean, lean. Slow it down, side to side, side to side. And I'll usually do 3 sets of that. Fast, 8, 7, 6, lean on it, 4, 3, 2, slow down. I never have the speed extended for any long period of time. Whew, you're recovering. This is easy. There's our last set of these. Here we go. Tempo, side to side, side to side. Yes, work it, work it, work it, work it, work it. Break, easy. Whew. So do you feel like we've hit that hamstring? Oh yeah. Then you want to make sure to balance that off. And this is a good place to do those seated kicks like we did before. We won't do them now, but that's a good combination of exercises. The hamstring and the intervals, and then the seated kicks with the knees together. because that balances off opposing muscles. Whew. Let's go on. We also did our bicycle. That's another one that you can use to balance off the quadricep. Let's go on and do another muscle though. Whew. Let's go back to our V-sit, but have the noodle up around your arms. So we're in that V-sit position. This is a little different than the other one in that I want your hips to stay aligned right under your shoulders, abdominals nice and tight, chest up. Good. The music stops, but we don't. We're like the Energizer Bunny. Out and in, out and in. Now that's just a simple V-sit. You can always concentrate on the push out, push out, push out, or the opposite. Whip in, stroke in. Good. Pull, pull. 4 more. In. 6, and I like to combine that with what's called a diamond sit. You just have your feet together, turn the knees out, and make a little diamond. Now pull the heels toward the buttocks and out. Pull and push, pull and push. Again, this takes some core stability to stay balanced. At first, your students may not be comfortable using this position. So give them time to learn how to rotate out from the hip. Some of them will be very good at rotating the ankle or rotating the knee, which is neither very good because there's some torque in those joints. So try to get them to rotate all the way from the hip and then do that diamond sit. Can you start to feel how great a stretch that is on the up movement and how much strength it takes to straighten the legs back out in a turned out position? This is just like ballet. When you learn how to stand in a turned out position, the rotation comes from the hip and you're using those abductors and adductors to maintain that posture. Let's do 4 more, 3 more, 2 more. Now combine it with a V-sit, out and in, diamond. Oh yeah, out and in. This is where my students go, oh no. But I say, can you just do 8? And they say, sure. Because you can really start feeling your hips. Inner thigh, outer thigh, everything. This is another multi-muscle exercise. So make sure they know to stabilize before they start. Out and in, and lift. 1 more, out and in. Let's give those legs a break. Woo, jog it out for a minute. Let's give the lower body a break and go and work upper body for a moment. Let's start with a push-up. The noodle's out in a straight position in front. And this is always a good one to do right after the hamstring because it's the same position. You're gonna lean on it to the front. Good. Then stabilize the lower body in a lunge. But leaning forward, this is position 1. You want the noodle to be under the chest. Now push it up just like a push-up in reverse. Now, this isn't a huge amount of resistance for really skilled students. So if you need to give them a little bit extra cue on how to really tighten and maximize the use of the pectoral muscles, tell them to overflex at the bottom. Pose like Arnold. Can you see a difference when you voluntarily contract that muscle? You can get more intensity in the contraction. So that's the push-up in position 1. Now if you're feeling comfortable and balanced, why don't you go ahead and try position 2. Both toes back, buttocks tight, abdominals tight, and push up right underneath you. Down and lift. So on land, you'd be doing a regular push-up on your toes. Easy in the water though if you have that core stability. So maintain core strength, core strength, core strength. Nice tight abdominals. 4, are you feeling your chest a little bit? Elbow side. Now if you're still feeling really strong, go ahead and do a suspended push-up. Both legs float up to a nice horizontal position. Again, you have to stress that they're contracting all their muscles to stay in nice alignment. Again, you want to watch hyperextension in the lower spine and the cervical spine. So try to get them to have their chin touch the water. Good. Let's just do 2 more. Lift, lift. 1 more, and take a break. Next, we're gonna do some games. I always like to end with a fun game, so we'll use the noodles for games. And I'm gonna ask Sarah to come and help me on deck so you can see what we're doing on the deck and in the water. I usually get in because my students don't like coming out onto the deck. Extend the noodles and have them in a parallel position. Great. Now start them with a cross country, always cueing them right foot in front. Everybody has to be together. It's very team oriented. Ready? Let's go. Right and left. That was absolutely perfect. Now in the water, they're already doing what is natural. Extend the arms. Now, the fun part here is you get to push your partner just a little bit. Push their arms and pull. Push and pull. Immediately, they're gonna feel that upper back. Can you feel that? How much more range of motion you get? Now be careful if you have patients with arthritis in their shoulders. You don't wanna push them too hard. Let's do 4 more. Good. And change to a jumping jack, out and in. Now, start with the noodles on the surface. On the surface, up here. Not under yet. They're already making it hard. Now, straight arms down. Submerge. Kind of like a submarine. 4 more. Can you feel your shoulders? Yeah. Let's go back to cross country, right foot front. Right and left. Good. The one time Sarah and I actually get to start with our right foot. 4, 3, jack it out and in. Surface, surface. Good. Submerge. Keep your abs tight, back tall. Last 2. 1 more. Jog and break. Good. Now we're gonna play tug of war, but a friendly game of tug of war. You're gonna come into the noodle, turn around to face the outside, hold the noodles under your arms, but you don't wanna be too close to your friend. Now everybody jog. And I always start easy. Now everybody try to run forward fast. Pull, pull. Don't let them win. Don't let them win. Come on, work your legs. Faster. Push. Can you feel them pulling you? Yeah? Come on, harder. Pull them, pull them, pull them. And break. Whew. Whoever was pulling hardest, keep jogging and let your friend float and relax. Pull them like a rickshaw. 4 more. Keep working. Now change. Everything has to be fair. No, you stay and relax. Stay and relax. And I'll just jog and pull you. Really pull her. Take her on a journey. Around. 7 and 8. Take a break. Good. Last thing thank you, Sarah. The last thing we're gonna do is stretch. So if we could have our stretch music, we'll finish with a relaxing stretch with the noodle. Now, usually after doing those games, my class needs to laugh for about 30 seconds. So it's the perfect time for me to jump out, put on relaxing music, and they've chatted a bit and socialized, and they're ready to come down. So let's start our stretch, just with a lunge side to side. Games just get my heart going. I have the best time with them. You just want them to concentrate on the lunge side to side to stretch that adductor muscle. And just float. Feel the water's buoyant effect. Just float. This is where we really get to enjoy the water. Not work against it, enjoy it and be part of it. Good. Sweep the feet together. Now lift the right foot and place the whole foot on top of the noodle. And just let it float out. You can let go of the noodle. It'll float up there for you. And we're doing our hamstring stretch. Now, I like this as an alternative to the regular hamstring stretch because they can really maintain tall posture and they don't have to reach over and crunch into that stretch. They can let the noodle support their leg and get a nice relaxing stretch for the hamstring. Can you feel that back there? Now, we're gonna slowly change to an adductor stretch, inner thigh stretch, by rotating the hip. Keep the noodle where it is, and you're gonna rotate so that your leg turns over, the knee and toe are facing front. Try not to let the hip raise up. Then you can push the noodle down a little bit. That gives you a little resistance to stretch against. Good. Now, if you really want to make this intense, you can squat down with the standing leg just a bit. Exactly. Nice and long. Now, flex your foot and turn and face away from your noodle and hook it in the back. First, start by standing tall. Pull the knees together. Let the noodle float up and back. Squeeze the buttocks and push that hip forward for a stretch in the hip flexor and quadricep. Now, to intensify that slightly, and if your students don't have back problems, go ahead and let it float away and back. Just a hair. Good. Make sure they still maintain core stability and posture. Beautiful. Now, to get out of this position, we just go in reverse. Gentle inner thigh stretch, then gentle hamstring stretch. Then hold on to the noodle, bring it in, and take the foot out. Now, at first, your students may be uncomfortable getting it down under their foot for the hamstring stretch. What you may want to tell them is to hold closer to the center, to really push it down and get it under the foot first. Then hold the edges and let it walk out in front. Beautiful. Again, you get to judge how high it goes. Doesn't have to be up on the surface. You can also do point and flexes here, rotation of the ankle. Just loosen up the whole leg. Could you feel when you took the noodle off the first leg and put it on the second leg, how tight your second leg was all of a sudden? This really is effective. It's a nice passive stretch. Again, rotate your hips and let it go to inner thigh. Knees and toes forward. Try to keep the hip in alignment. You don't want it to float up. Nice and straight. Good. Bend down for that more intense stretch. Good. One more. Now flex the foot and hook it in back. First with the knees together. Check your alignment. You want to squeeze that buttocks, push the hip forward, abdominals and back tall. Now for intensity, let it float behind you just a bit. Yes, does that feel good? I love this stretch. Nice. Now flip back gently through the inner thigh stretch and the hamstring, and then release it in front. Good. Great. Now out in front, just squat and bob. Beautiful. Do you feel your legs just feel really nice? Good. Now for balance, we're just going to place the noodle down. You can do this with one foot all the way down. Then gently gain your balance and press the other foot wide. I do balance at the end of class when people are comfortable and can focus on their body. Now once you have balance in a standing position, lower your body, practice here. Now let your feet float up with the noodle into a squat position. Balance, back down. Now I don't use this as a strengthening exercise, I use it as a balancing exercise. Now try to come up 2 counts and down. Up 2, down 2, up 2. Can you feel your body having to really tense up to stay nice and balanced? Let's just do one more. Good. Hold it and release one foot. Hold the noodle with one hand and lift the other foot out and bring it to the front. With the feet wide, tuck the pelvis and lean on it to the front, rounding the whole spine. Drop the chin in. Now inhale and lift the noodle. Spread the hands and bring it behind you. Let it float down to the water. Open the chest. Retract and depress the shoulder blades. Open the chest wide. Release the noodle to the front. And up again. Pull down with the right arm and up with the left arm. You can let the noodle bob into the water, but you want to have relatively straight arms. Abs in and change. Nice deep breathing. Up to the front, one breath. And exhale. Wonderful. Thank you so much for being with me today. I hope you enjoyed the workout. Excellent. Hi, welcome to the lecture portion of Nautical Noodles. We just had a wonderful workout using a tool that's not relatively new in the industry, but we did some creative ideas that really helped to make a class new and innovative. The noodle, or water woggle, is a tool. It's just a styrofoam cylinder that can be used in a multitude of ways. You can get these through J&B Foam or Water Gear. The more you buy, the less expensive they are. So it's a relatively inexpensive tool to use in your pool. You can also find them at local department stores like Walmart or Kmart. And if you get them at the end of the season in the summer, like August, September, they're an excellent buy. So stock up then, and then you'll have them for the rest of the year. You have to be careful though. As a safety note, the water noodle is not used as a flotation device. It's used as a tool. So make sure if you have non-swimmers that they're aware that they cannot just use this as a safety device. If you have non-swimmers, you may want to give them options for the depth of water they work in, and also add a different flotation device if they're a little nervous about suspension, like a flotation belt. Some people use cuffs around the arms, whatever they're most comfortable with to have them have a good time with the noodle. Next, you want to make sure that, pardon me, you want to make sure that you watch the integrity of the tool. If there are children playing with the noodles and they eat chunks out of it, because they will, you have to make sure that the noodle is not taking on and keeping a lot of water, because they will become waterlogged and tend to sink in the water instead of float. So every now and then, just take an inventory of your materials to make sure that they aren't missing chunks and taking on water. Let's talk a little bit about the positions you can use with the noodle. There's a multitude of things you can do with this, and the things I show you don't have to limit you. You can use positions that you find creative and fun for your students. The first position is in the front. You can use it straight in the front, or you can use it in a horseshoe position around the body. And we can do a lot of upper body work and flotation with more of the noodle around the body. You can change it to the back of the body, and again, use it in a straight position, use it in a U-type position, or a full circle to do things like spins. I like that a lot. It adds a lot of fun to class. Next, you can use it in the straddle or horse position, and I just tell my students to get on the horse, and they know that that means to mount it with it between their legs. Some movement we did holding the noodle between the knees. Some we did floating fully on the noodle. You might want to give them a cue in this position to keep it under their chin, because if they let too much of the noodle come up, it's going to knock them in the head, and that's a little frustrating during class. Also, you can use the noodle in a swing position. Just like at the playground, you just put it under the buttocks and let the sides float up. You can let go and float that way, or you can hold on to the sides and use arm work like we did in those V-sits, which is really helpful for coordination and balance. There's also positions under the feet. You can do one-leg squats here in this position, or you can do two-leg squats where you maintain balance on the noodle. We did that. And then float up, bending at the knee and hip for the two-leg squat position, lifting the body up and down. That's also fun when we did that surfing. The last position I use sparingly, I don't use this a lot, is the pretzel position, where you fold the noodle into a pretzel. Some of my students just can't get it in a knot, so we don't use it. But if I have a lot of students that can use this pretzel position, I like to use it for leg lifts. It gives it just a little bit more stability around the leg. And when you lift up and down, it stays on your leg instead of floating around the pool. The last thing we did with the noodle during the stretch was positions in the front, under the foot. Then we went out to the side and then hooked our foot. We flexed our foot and held it to the back for that quad stretch. Let your students know that they can let go of the noodle and let it float freely. The nice thing about the noodle is it's not going to bob up like a kickboard and injure anybody, maybe hitting them in the face. They're relatively soft and easy to work with, which just makes it a really fun tool. Let's go on and talk about how do you start using these in your classes. When I first started using them, my class was a little bit hesitant to start with a new tool. They were very used to the water buoys, they were very used to belts, but they had not used a noodle before. And while they found it fun, some of them did have a hard time holding on to the noodle. Some of your arthritic patients may have a little bit of a hard time grasping and holding the noodle for extended period of times. So try to be sensitive to that. And you want to make sure that it's comfortable for them. If they can't hold on, they can float on the noodle this way. They can always modify the movement, and make sure you're giving them modifications. When I first started using the noodle in my classes, I only used it for one exercise at a time. So I might use it for abdominal work only at the very end of class, where we just popped it in, did the exercise, popped it out. And then they didn't feel overwhelmed. Then the next week we would maybe do the same thing. And after a month, maybe I would integrate the noodle a little more into class, maybe doing some leg work at the end of class and ab work. By that time, they're already familiar with the tool enough that they were comfortable to work with it a little bit longer. You could even work to a point in your class where you can use the noodle for the whole class. Now, I don't usually do that, but if your classes really like the noodle, you can start using it in the cardio phase like we did today, doing the jacks and the kicks, or you can use it for just the muscular work, and I really like using it for the stretch. So that might be a place where you first integrate the noodle, use it in your stretch. At the end of the lecture notes, you'll notice there's a bibliography. There are about 5 or 6 resources that gave me some really good places to start in designing noodle activities. You can find all different kind of resources for this. I do recommend Karen Westfall as a resource. She is very creative. I also recommend Cindy Gilmore, and there are a couple books out that you can probably get through Human Kinetics that give you just wonderful ideas on how to use the noodle effectively and in fun ways. You want to make sure that you don't limit yourself when you use the noodle. You may come up with a new position, you may come up with a new game or activity or muscular usage for the noodle, but what you want to make sure to do is practice with the noodle on your own before you try to introduce that into class. Because if you just try to jump in the water and try it out, it might not work or be very effective in front of your students. And you always want to make sure that any usage of a new tool with your students is practiced beforehand so that you know how it will affect their bodies, you know to tell them to feel it in a specific muscle, so that you can present it in an enthusiastic way so that your class will be comfortable with it. If you're not enthusiastic about the tool, they won't be enthusiastic about the tool. So try to keep that in the back of your mind when you're designing workouts that involve the noodle. Lastly, you want to be very careful that you continually give clues and cues to your class about posture and core strength. Posture is the same with the noodle as it is in water. You want to make sure that the core strength is maintained, abdominals tight, back extension muscles tight, chest lifted, shoulder blades retracted, chest open, especially in the suspended moves or any moves that requires stabilization. They're going to need control in their abdominals, especially doing arm work, maybe the lateral raises, twisting motions, anything like that. They need to maintain that core strength so that they don't lose their balance. Core strength is extremely important and becoming more and more an important field in our industry. In order to gain core strength, you need to do movements that cause the students to practice balance. And the noodle is great for that because you can do suspended moves, which requires dynamic stabilization. You can do the abdominal training that requires core strength, of course. The balance moves we did while standing on the noodle and surfing, those kind of things, also require dynamic stabilization without the support of the bottom of the pool. So you're always going to find that using a tool like this, any flotation device, is going to require that the students build core strength and stability. Lastly, just make sure that you have fun with the tool. It's an easy tool to integrate. Start slow, build bigger, do as much as your class will take, and just have fun with it. It's been a pleasure being with you, and we look forward to seeing you again.